the #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.
Good morning, guys, and welcome to episode 228 of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Bexon. Today, we're going to be talking with Sarah Elena, owner and chief relocator for Move to Costa Rica. So we're going to be talking to her about kind of what you need to know about moving here, kind of the trends in the market at the moment, what the most recent North American election has had, and where she thinks everything is going in 2025 when it comes to relocating in Costa Rica. I know it's a big thing at the moment. A lot of people are looking to potentially have a plan B or to relocate full-time. And Costa Rica is a great country to do that in, albeit not the cheapest, but I would say somewhat safe, and just a great, lifestyle as well. It's a very good balance. I think we have a good balance here in Costa Rica. But anyway, if anyone's looking to make an investment here in Costa Rica, we have some projects. Actually, I think we have one villa in Manuel Antonio and a couple up in Arenal we're about to start. So if anybody's interested in knowing more about investing in them, let me know. Things are going very, very well. We've started construction on quite a few of them. So we'd be happy to chat with anyone. You can email us info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com, or just go to our website, www.investingcostarica.com. But anyway, let's get straight into the podcast. Good morning, Sarah. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing? I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on here. I'm not sure if summer's finally here, but it's been kind of raining a little bit as well. So I hope it gets here quickly.
Well, we're in December, so it should be here any minute. I feel the winds. The winds are starting to pick up, so it's a good sign.
The winds are here, that's for sure. I got a flight tomorrow to Arenal and then Manuel Antonio, so hopefully those winds don't make my flight too interesting. But yeah. Well, Sarah, I mean, with recent North American, and world political instability, I would say, would be a word that I use. I mean, how has this impacted your work, like kind of since the US election?
I would say it's had a huge impact. So I guess before we started recording here, I let you know I felt like I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Yep. And it's been late nights, many phone calls all day, every day. I've been dealing with a lot of people. It's huge increase. Will everyone come and stay forever? Will everyone even come? But at least the interest of I want out has been the big time.
Yeah. I mean, are people looking to get out like 100%, or they just want kind of like a second option, plan B?
The most of the people that I deal with are pretty 100%. They want to be here full time. I'll occasionally have a snowbird or someone who just wants to come back and forth for investment. Yeah. But most people are full time. I'm out. Their plan B may be that they're going to rent out their home in their home country, just selling it, and they will have kind of a backup plan, which I do suggest that they have in some cases. Yeah.
Awesome. What do you think is going to happen in Costa Rica in 2025? I mean, the past couple of years has been pretty crazy. What do you think is going to happen in 2025?
Well, I think we could see definitely a steady increase. So the other last big boom that I recall was during 2020. So you had election paired up with COVID, huge boom. I don't know, maybe you felt that.
Yep.
I would say so 2020, once the borders were open, huge boom. 2021, huge. I think by 2022, 2023, 2024, things started to kind of taper off and level out a little bit more. Again, you let me know what you felt. But now I'm feeling that big boom again. And my assumption is that 2025 may be another big year and then it'll start to level out again. Perhaps we just go through these kind of cycles.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the cycle that we saw, 2020, kind of when the end of the year, it kind of opened up, was pretty crazy. The bounce back in tourism was nuts, the bounce back in real estate was, and investing as well. I'm going to do a podcast at some point, just kind of a wrap up of 2024 with kind of data and then what we think is going to happen in 2025. But I think we are starting to see a bit of a shift to a buyer's market from a seller's market. I think 2021, 22, 23 was kind of a seller's market. Whereas now I think there's been some stability in 2024 with some price settling, and I think 2025 we might start, and especially in like non-key areas, if that makes sense. I'm starting to kind of see that. But I mean, it's going to be an interesting 2025 for sure. As if 2024 wasn't as interesting enough, I'm sure 2025 will be the same.
Who knows? I know it's like every year it's a new thing, and we'll have to see what comes.
I think, as I always say with Costa Rica, just surf the wave, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
whatever comes at you. I mean, how easy is it to relocate to Costa Rica, Sarah? Because, when people are looking at Costa Rica, a lot of the time they're also looking at other destinations as well. But how easy is it to relocate to Costa Rica?
Well, I wouldn't say it's manageable. And I think if you have a proper plan in place, you have the proper education, you've thought about your logistics in advance, you've made sure that you know what you don't know, and you're going to the right places for information, I think it can be definitely very manageable. Some curveballs are still going to pop up. You're going to have to still be very adaptable, very kind of crafty in your way of thinking, and also just be able to deal with big changes and maybe unexpected things happening. So I would say with us, we look at a situation and we have a systematic way of doing it. So we're like, oh, this is easy. You just got to do X, Y, put the pieces here. But I understand to someone else, it can, as long as it's done correctly, it's, and you're working with the right people. Again, as you probably know, it's about having the right kind of contacts down there. It can be very manageable and an enjoyable experience, but also even happy changes in life can be stressful. So it's about managing that part of it too.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think, as I just said before, surf the wave. I think you just have to do that with everything in Costa Rica. And sometimes you're going to be told no, and that no is really not a no. It's just like, you just have to find another way to do everything. I mean, it's no different than any other country, I suppose. But
absolutely.
What do you think people should understand about living in Costa Rica?
Well, one, I guess, would be the big cultural difference. So when someone starts researching Costa Rica, they're going to read the Pura Vida. What is it? What does it mean? Maybe someone listening to this has probably already heard that term before. And I think people need to understand it's not just a word, it is a way of life down here. Yep. And I think some people, when they move, then really start to understand that, and they'll see how that does affect their day-to-day life, which it can be in a really good way. Because I feel like it's about slowing down, things moving at a slower pace, which can be nice because it actually takes the pressure off of you as a person. If you came down here to slow down, live at a slower pace, you can definitely accomplish that. But also, people do need to culturally adapt and understand that Costa Rica is not going to, the systems aren't going to work the way that they work from where they're coming from. Yep. And I know that can be really frustrating for some people. I find some things highly inefficient here, but that's okay. That's the way it is. But I also find some things that are much better and much more efficient here. So I think people need to understand that, just really remind themselves they are moving to another country, and they have to respect that the culture is different. The way of doing things is different. And they need to be patient with themselves and others as they're learning how to live life differently. Literally paying your bills is going to be different. Like every little kind of thing that you're used to doing, especially after moving, is going to be different. So just having that patience and also adapting and embracing it.
Yeah, I think patience definitely is the word here on a lot of stuff. So yeah. What about when it comes to the cost of living here? Because I think people think, oh, Latin America, it must all be pretty cheap. Whereas that's not always the case in Costa Rica, right?
No, honestly, Costa Rica is expensive, and I will let people know that. However, I think there are ways to live in a cheaper way. So you have to learn how to shop down here. So I'll talk about, okay, don't buy the Tide brand that you look right next to it. Same ingredients, same thing. Grab that instead. So I think when you learn how to live and how to shop properly, and some things are more expensive, like cars. You hear that, people, oh my gosh, can't believe how expensive cars are. But I feel that the things maybe to take care of your day-to-day, getting a haircut, getting your nails done, or getting a massage, there's certain things to take care of your body. Medical care can be a lot less expensive, veterinary care. So yes, there are things that are more expensive, which are going to be your name brands, your imported goods, cars, things like that. But then also you have things that are going to be more affordable that you might use on a day-to-day too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, from my experiences that, you need to somewhat simplify your life in Costa Rica as well. And it's great because you can't just jump on Amazon and order something in 2 seconds. It's, it's here. I mean, it's getting a lot easier, don't get me wrong, to get some of that stuff, but it's not like, it used to, where it was just, an absolute pain to get that stuff down here. But I think, as you said, it's just, there are certain ways, like going to the farmer's market instead of just going to Automercado, the country's probably most expensive, supermarket, finding the butchers, like doing it the old way it used to be, like where you go to the grocers and you go to the meat guys and the fish guys, and you have all these individual guys, but it's all fresh, if that makes sense, rather than just being mass produced kind of Walmart style stuff.
Exactly.
So, says the guy building the Pequeño Mundo in Playa de Dora.
Isn't today the opening?
I have no idea, Sarah. We project managed that thing from the beginning. We project manage all of them in Costa Rica, and I never know. They just
That's amazing.
there is no date. They just open up.
Oh, well, I heard it opens today and I was going to go this Saturday. So that's exciting.
It'll be open by Saturday, I believe, as well. By then for sure. But yeah, it's definitely a change to the area.
Oh yeah, that intersection is already a bit of a mess. So it'll be great. But we're very excited. We're very excited about it.
Awesome. What percentage of people that relocate here do you think last more than 2 to 3 years, in your opinion? Because you often hear about people that come down here and then kind of don't make it. And I mean, what percentage would you say that is, and why do you think people don't make it?
Well, I think I have two different kind of demographics. Well, I have my data from people that work with us, and I think the percentage is much higher of the people that stay that end up working with us, because we really do drill into them kind of what to expect, make sure they don't have their rose-colored glasses on, let them know kind of ahead of time what their challenges are going to be. So by the time they start facing some of those things that are just kind of inevitable, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we knew to expect this. We got this. And we do a lot of that pre-education before they even get here and making sure that they actually know it's the right thing for them. But I think, I don't know, maybe 60 to 70% will still be here after 2 to 3 years. And I think some of them end up leaving because, well, maybe they did come into the country with different expectations, but also just changes in life. So I've seen people, oh, well, we just had grandchildren. Now we want to go back, or change in employment, or maybe Costa Rica was more expensive than what they thought. Change in health conditions. So maybe something happened health-wise that they wanted to go back to their home country. So those are kind of the main ones that I see. Maybe change in a family dynamic or health or income, or some people just come and say, I want to do this just for a year anyways. They say, I just want a new experience of life, and they know that they're going to return anyways because, I don't know, they don't plan to go out of the country for the rest of their lives. But
so, I mean, based on that, what is your opinion? Because I'm sure you get this quite a lot, of whether people should buy or they should rent when first moving here.
I think they should absolutely rent. If anyone's watched any of my materials, I'm a huge proponent on that. I will work with people, and they're still adults and they can make their own decisions. So if someone is hell bent on, I want to buy, I'm like, all right, well, let's do it safely. But I absolutely say rent, because I have seen it even with our own clients that they come. And again, I have one that came, they really wanted to buy. I don't think they ended up buying, but then they moved back a year later, and they weren't buying in a tourist area. You know, they're buying kind of in a more mountainous rural area, or they wanted to buy in a more mountainous rural area. So I thought, well, gosh, how much of a pain would that have been to sell that property? As you know, it doesn't always sell as fast.
Yeah.
So rent.
You'd mentioned there, buy the right way. Can you explain that a little bit, just so that listeners understand that?
Well, making sure that you need a superstar lawyer and on your side. That's what I always tell people. You need a superstar lawyer, because sure, you can come, and some people use real estate agents, but you need the superstar lawyer on your side, because that's who's going to keep you out of trouble. Because maybe you move here, you're renting, your landlord's cousin Jose has got this amazing property down the road, and you fall in love with it. Who's going to protect you in that case? Your lawyer. Your lawyer's going to be the one to say, actually, we have a client going through this right now. There's something going on with a trust, or there's just some kind of legal things. The lawyer saying, hey, if you want to buy this, you can, but you're going to have to sign a legal release that, saying that we're not going to be responsible if anything happens after your purchase. And the client came to me and I said, you know what, don't do it. I said, I work with lawyers that are very black and white. I try to work with people that don't do any gray areas. They're going to advise you in the best way to not have any risk and make sure that the sale, because as you know, it can be big problems, and you don't want to come over and have big problems and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and, have legal issues.
Well, I mean, I think if you carry that risk and have those legal issues, just reselling it becomes even more difficult. And I mean, as you mentioned there, if it's not in a core destination, it gets even more difficult.
Totally.
So it's an interesting one, buying real estate in this country, depending on, what you're doing it for. But I think people just need to understand financing is not readily available. So the number of buyers is not huge like it is in North America. So everyone here is a cash buyer, which, it takes, I don't know, the population from 50% down to 2%, of people that can do it. And and if it's in a non-key area, unless someone wants to live in the middle of nowhere, you've gone down to 0.1% of people. So I agree. Rent before you buy, because when you buy here, reselling, depending on where it is, can be a nightmare.
Totally. I built a home. I built two homes, one to live in, one to sell. 3 minutes from the beach, brand new house, furnished. it still took 9 months to sell it. It's a great property, but it's still, you're right. Kind of wait around for that cash buyer because financing isn't always, as available. Absolutely.
And you're 3 minutes from the beach. So imagine if you were 15, 20 minutes from the beach up in the mountains. Maybe helps if you have an ocean view, but still 15, 20 minutes up in the mountains, if there's no community around you, I think you just need to, you've got to be very careful.
Exactly.
I always say, I remember doing law at school and there was this saying, caveat emptor, buyer beware, which is always, here, because once you buy it, there is no recourse really.
Exactly.
Very little recourse.
Exactly. So make sure it's worth taking your time to due diligence, making sure everything's done correctly, get the home inspection, do everything in the due diligence so that when you spend that money, it's going to be okay.
Sarah, what's the question that a lot of people ask that maybe I haven't asked here that you think people should know about, kind of relocating and moving to Costa Rica?
Well, one thing that I like to talk to people about is choosing the right area.
Yep.
Because I think if you I'll see people start their journey of maybe looking for real estate. They're looking at a house. Oh, this house is so amazing. This is a great property. But what area is it in? So I just think it's so important for people to really dig into their own lifestyle. So that's what we try to do. That's why I ask people, what is your daily life like now? What are your hobbies? What's important to you? What amenities do you need to have around you? How close do you want to be to medical? What about climate? So I think people really need to sit down and ask themselves some of those questions. And I know a lot of people are moving for a lifestyle change, or also maybe they're retiring. So for someone who's retiring, they're going from working to now they're going to have all this free time. I would just encourage people to really structure what are they going to do with their time down here and really get a clear focus of what lifestyle changes they want to make. And then making sure that they're choosing an area that's going to be a match to that. Because if they're not, you're going to be miserable. That's why you don't want to just buy a property either just because of the property. It can really change your experience if you pick the wrong area. And that's what I've seen a lot of people make mistakes in too. So I think that would be something that's always really important to cover, and make sure there's no big relocation deal breakers. Make sure medically and insurance wise you're super covered and you're comfortable with the coverage. That's another mistake that I see. And knowing the expensive cars before you come down. So you choose an area that you don't need a car if you know that you can't afford one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different microclimates and locations here as well, as you mentioned there, depending on, what it is that you want from, we say the Central Valley here. I love the Central Valley because it's like 65, 85 all year round. We have all the comforts. I live in Heredia in the mountains. It's kind of nice but in 10 minutes, I can be at the airport or I can be down in the city.
Yeah.
But I agree. And that's why you shouldn't just buy as soon as you jump in. You should rent. And, again, I think if someone's goal is like, no, I'm going to buy a house as like a vacation home and then rent it, that's different than, hey, I'm moving here. One is more of I would say more of an investment style, business. And the other one's more of a lifestyle thing, which are two very separate conversations.
Totally. Absolutely.
Well, awesome. Sarah, this has been great. My last question for you, though, is if you inherited $500,000 and you had to invest it into a business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you invest it in and why?
That's such a good question. Okay. I would probably invest it into making, I don't know if that'd be enough. I'd want to make a few rental units, some apartments. That's what I would do with it.
Where would you do it?
Closer to the beach, but probably closer to where I live. And some would probably be long-term. Maybe I'd try some others short-term. That might be a bigger project than $500,000, but I would definitely make some rental units for sure.
Well, look, I think with some of this prefab stuff, we've looked at a lot of kind of more prefabricated stuff that can be built in 2 or 3 months and kind of just wheeled and landed on. It depends what you want to do. Those units can be, $70,000, $80,000. You have to put the infrastructure in and maybe a pool and stuff. So, it can be done. It just depends on how big a project, you're looking to do. But yeah, it sounds like you would, it makes sense to do it in Playa Hermosa where you are. Good demand, close to the city, and great location.
Yeah. And I would say it's not something that I would say, okay, I'm going to make these units and live off of it for the rest of my life either. Because as you know, that would be more of, oh, here's extra cash coming in still. That
exactly. Well, cool. Sarah, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here on the podcast. Anyone that wants to get in contact with you, I'll put all your details down in the description, but very much appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed that podcast there with Sarah, guys. Again, she's helped a lot of people relocate here to Costa Rica, and just really kind of knows and has her, I would say, life together when it comes to helping people relocate here. So if anyone wants to get in contact with her, all of her contact details are in the description down below. Remember, if you're looking to do anything here in Costa Rica, guys, whether that's investment, real estate, building, etc., a lot of people actually contact us and are like, wow, I didn't realize that you guys project manage. We have about, I would say, anywhere from 20 to 30 projects we're managing in very different phases, from design all the way through to, actual finishing construction. We're kind of owners reps and make sure that things are being done properly and people aren't being taken advantage of. So, it's a beautiful country. But you just need to, as I say here, trust but verify everything. So if anyone's interested in doing anything here in Costa Rica and wants to contact us, don't be shy. info@investingcostarica.com. If you've enjoyed the podcast, guys, please pass it on, tell your friends. Also give us a 5-star review, make a comment if you're listening on YouTube, and subscribe if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcasts out there. But very much appreciate everyone's support in 2024. And I think that 2025 is going to be an even better year for everyone. So thanks very much. Bye.
The #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.